You're going to love this show. And if you want to see more shows in this coming year, because it's going to be a wild year, please subscribe and donate. John Turley Ewart is not only a smart guy, and he writes an awful lot, he knows about banking, and he's a bit of a historian on that. And TD Bank, $3.5 billion paid to the government of the United States because the banks down there really screwed up in many ways. But the TD Bank is centered in Toronto, and it has a board of directors, and it has a president, and a bunch of other people paid an awful lot of money. And if you screw up to the extent of losing $3.5 billion, and it'll be more than that when it's all finished, you'd think there'd be somebody who's accountable.
Well, certainly you would have thought the CEO would have been kicked out the door, but he's still hanging around. I know some CEOs have been kicked out for IT failures that lasted a few days.
Yeah.
So certainly...
Or for allegedly having an affair, which they don't deny, and they lose their jobs.
This is it.
And they don't lose their jobs with a lot of pay. The president could be accountable, but he's still going to have millions of bucks in stocks and everything else.
And I think a lot of staff at TD really feel this because their bonuses are impacted, their employee share ownership programs are impacted. People are potentially going to lose their job because now everything is on the table for TD to try and figure out how to fix this problem.
So why is it a Canadian thing? I mean, it seems to me in the States, when a company screws up like this, off with his head or her head. In Canada, both in business and in politics, a person could do the worst job possible. They could screw it all up, and they're still there.
Well, I think this is the Canadian attitude towards kindness is perhaps taken a little bit too far in business. So 2024 is one of the record years for CEOs getting fired in the U.S. And certainly boards should be held accountable. There's an audit committee on the TD board, and you have to ask, where were they when this was happening? It's shocking, really that this transpired. And the consent order, which is the Department of Justice document, is 100 pages long. They say they starved their compliance program for money so they couldn't abide by the law.
So, I mean, clearly there were executive decisions which led to this terrible fine and the terrible reputation and the loss of business.
Absolutely.
So somebody made some bad decisions.
Yes, certainly the board made bad decisions. Certainly the leadership made bad decisions. And even in politics, as you know, Stephen, you can even get fired for making bad decisions.
Yeah, we hardly wait to fire a few of them.
Indeed. But apparently in banking, not so much these days.
Do you think there should be a culture change?
Absolutely. There has to be a culture change. You cannot have that kind of failure without someone being held accountable at the top.
Well, maybe it's the old story about Canadians. We're just so nice. We get suckered around all the time. John Turley Ewart, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Accountability, that's what you get here, 3 minutes. To those of you who have subscribed and donated, a heartfelt thank you. You're keeping us on the air. If you're watching and you haven't, please try to do so, because 4 years ago, we started this show because there needed to be independent analysis. Now more than ever, with the Online Harms Act. Once that gets into law, it's been passed once by the House, there are going to be hundreds of bureaucrats censoring the news in Canada, censoring this show. We need to keep it on the air. Thanks for your support.